live video, some live discussion.
Sorry,
with everybody.
Pre-prepared video, question
But then you all
right?
you all
so
tapping
we could
live.
do it, but I don't know if it needs it. Okay.
Well, yeah.
So I will say, I feel we'll figure it out.
Going to record,
do
some stuff that I captured.
Schedule. So you or I can follow up
recordings
with that, just so we can find that out. I'm not gonna make it all
I just want to record some conversation.
Okay.
Where we're kind of tracking it as it's going, aren't we? Like the way that the music's developing, we're with it all the time.
We should actually. I think it'd be useful to have these separate bits that we're like, okay, we're playing one and then we talk, we play two and then we talk, then we play 2.1 or whatever.
And so we're looking at these things and like obviously getting a lot from them as independent things or as standalone things, but not even just each cell, like each piece, but like, you know, that chord within that piece.
In time, I think the linearity of development will become not just less significant, but will actually break down.
It was like, it's really important that we're kind of showing that.
Because what will happen, for example, is there'll be like looping back around to older stuff, like in 1, and then reintegrating that with aspects of like 2.1 or whatever.
So I think, you know, there's this sort of sense of us being very much next to the material all the time.
Talking about 1 in this nitty-gritty way. And 1 is, I think, the easiest to include, is the one that you've had the most time. It's like, in some respects, it's the easiest to play, right?
It is the easiest.
Yeah. So all of those reasons are arguments to include that. So
I think this is what we're going to talk about today, because.
Right.
At the minute, I don't know.
If we're pre-recording a video, like how are we doing that? Like are you and I just recording and talking, right? Intercut with you playing. Like if you were gonna, whether we do it live or make a video.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, there's no real like planning that needs to happen. This jumble, right? Yeah. Let's do it. Right. I am actually sorry. I don't mean to cut you. I am curious. So, as far as recordings, what are your plans for that? Like, how do you plan on doing that? And I think sort of part B of that question is, what are you specifically planning on playing?
I would probably, maybe not necessarily directly repeat, but it would be a sense of maybe kind of like totally jumbling up some sort of crazy sequence that would go back and forth a little bit.
I think 2 is the least interesting of the 3 options in the paper. And I also think, frankly, although I haven't heard you play 2B yet, but I think it's the most technically problematic, right? Yeah. Like I was listening to the recordings a bit. So that, for both those reasons, makes it the least desirable one to include from a pure aesthetic level out of the three. But at the same time, it's very important to include to talk about 2B, right? And if I want to talk about any of them, I want to talk about 2B. Talking about 2. In this reflexive habits way, right?
Yeah.
So what I would say is, if we were gonna like cut out any conversational content having walked through it like that, I think cutting out the conversation about 2 independent of 2B would be the way to go, right? Because we could easily, I think, and tell me what you think. I mean, my instinct, I'm just walking through this in real time, obviously, is that it would just be easy to be like, okay, so like playing 2 and 2B, or playing 2 and then talking about, so we did this and it led to this, right? And kind of smushing all that and then playing 2B.
And then I'm sort of like, well, all right, let's say a year from now, we're looking at this stuff. How would we feel about 2 and 2.1? And having to say everything about 2 in order to understand 2.1.
Smushing 2 and 2B together conversationally, because I think that flows very naturally together.
Yeah. And does it in fact maybe need it as well, because it's a presentation? Does, you know, the fact that it's presentation means we have to kind of expand out.
Talking about 2 in this reflexive habits way, right? Part of the ultimate progression is the variable arrangement of these things.
And
the simultaneous putting them together.
I would probably want to repeat a lot, because what I love about this music is that it's different every time I play it. Even my, you know, maybe at least, you know, it's not necessarily different in like,
No, I understand
came
what you're
out
saying.
more or that came out less or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, because I'm talking about this space between as well. You know, like we talked about the preparation for the SPZ. was doing was playing the SPZ, but I repeated it quite a lot, and I really tuned into the time I was having to wait before I could play it again. And so it was like you do it, and then it's like reset, and then it's right, because the preparation for that SPZ is still like there was a bit of a sort of game-changing moment there, I think, which then has fed into other bits of 2.1, like the getting the difference between the tenutos in parentheses and not, things like that. I was sort of moving between, say, I don't know, two chords that were next to each other, or even just the same chord but one in parentheses and one not, kind of thing. Almost like creating some sort of like exercise out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Just to kind of like really tune into what the difference is. What is it that I'm doing?
I have any opinion, I really want you to do like, 2.1, 2B, whatever the hell it is, right? The second two. Yeah,
Okay.
I really want that one. Just because it is the most involved, it's the most interesting. I'm very interested to hear how the tempo is, like all that stuff. So if that is my like primary desire, then from there it becomes hard for me to exclude 1 or 2.
Yeah.
I could see them being played in the opposite order that they were written, like 2.1, 2, and 1, like just back to back to back, for example. I mean, I think we should play with it. What are your thoughts on like if you were to play them back to back to back, right? Very similar to the postures, right?
Yeah.
What would be the order?